Burn knuckle! Yes! That's all I really wanted to do. 19, okay. So out of 20, 2 didn't work. Hello and welcome to another NihongoGamer video. Very excited because look what just came in the post. It's a large box, large enough that you can completely not see me anymore. In this box is SNK's third attempt at making a retro console. The Neo Geo Pro Arcade, or Arcade Pro, I don't know what it's called. Let's get it out of the box. It's actually a lot lighter than I was expecting. Oops. This is very exciting because in this, the Neo Geo Arcade Stick Pro, which I literally just bought on Amazon, for the grand price of, I think, about $150. Let me check the Western price. $130. Well, I paid 15,000 yen, which I think is something like $130, $140, $150 or so. The reason this is exciting is because you can buy other consoles. You can get stuff like this for, I don't know, 100, 120, 130, about the same price. And you can plug this into your TV and play like 20 classic Super Nintendo games. This is going to supposedly do a very similar thing, but instead of having a large selection of a large variety of games, it is mostly fighting games. This is like the fighting gamer's Christmas present. Now, the only reason that I might be a little bit scared about this product is because the Neo Geo Mini that came out last year didn't have a clicky controller. And if you plugged in those little side controllers, they looked like the control pads from the Neo Geo home console, but they didn't actually click. This is just a standard clicky arcade stick, so let's go ahead and unbox it. On the front of the box it just says Neo Geo Arcade Stick Pro, Pro Gear Spec, Advanced Entertainment System. It used to say that, I think, on the front screen when the console was loading. So it's the same thing on the side, Neo Geo Arcade Stick Pro, same on this side, and on the bottom of the stick, Carry On Legacy, or Carry On the Legacy. And then on the back of the box you've got some information about the console. It's an HDMI console, so you can plug it into any old TV and play your games. But interestingly enough, they show that it's compatible with last year's retro console that they came out with. So you can actually use this arcade stick as a controller for this console. Sorry, I'm getting really, really excited because I just want to get it out of the box and play it. Now it's got a little flap here on the front. It opens up face like this, and inside it's a box in a box. How many boxes are we going to have to unbox to get this out? Okay, oh brilliant, whoa, it's a lot smaller than I was expecting. Just pull this out of the box. Some instructions here about how to use it in various different languages, but we're not going to read the instructions. Just check that on the side as well. Pull this out. Oh, it's just the cable. Okay, so we've got a USB adapter for USB to USB-C so that we can plug controllers into this. And then we've got the USB to USB-C cable coming out of the box. Now, it's so light compared to other arcade sticks. The Neo Geo Arcade Stick Pro. Yo, that is actually really quite nice, and it's actually not as bulky and huge as I thought it was going to be, which is really good. Not a lot of people may know this, but the reason it's such an unusual shape is because the Neo Geo home controller, the controller pad, the pad controller, actually looks like this. So it's actually shaped like a giant control pad, but on the inside, instead of a big button like the thumbstick, it's an actual nice clicky arcade stick. Oh yeah. So it looks nice and simple. All we've got is the main unit. It's got 8 buttons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Though for most SNK games, you're only gonna really need 4 buttons. You've got your clicky arcade stick. It's in a square gate, which is nice. Now, actually, I was a little bit worried that maybe because they were going for the control pad style, that it would also be like a circular gate, because I'm pretty sure the control pad, even though it was a clicky thumbstick, I'm pretty sure it's a circular gate. But fortunately, like a standard arcade stick, it's got a square gate. So when you're doing your dragon punch motions, you can just lock yourself into the corner. If you got a charge character, you can just lock yourself into the corner. If you don't know what square gate or circular gate is, just ignore everything I just said. Now, if you want to play 2-player, you're going to need separate controllers. The Neo Geo Mini controller, I think it's sold for like maybe $30 or so, and you can plug it into the USB-C port here. But there are adapters, so I'm going to try that maybe in a future video. I'm going to see whether you can plug a standard arcade stick into this. But I'm under the impression that you can actually daisy chain these together. I think you can use this stick as a controller for another one of these sticks. So you could buy 2 of these and daisy chain them together, and a headphone jack. On the back of the console, you've got an HDMI port, that's where you'll plug it into your TV. You've got a USB port, I don't actually know what that's for, maybe it's for firmware upgrades and whatnot. This is just where you plug the electricity in. Then on the side of the arcade stick, you've got an interesting selection of buttons. You've got turbo, options, select, start, and I'm not sure what these buttons are. I'm gonna look through the instruction manual. Oh god, I've gotta go and pick it up. Okay, supposedly it's a mode switch, so you can switch between joystick mode and console mode. So if you're plugging into the Neo Geo mini console that has like 40 games on it, or if you're daisy chaining these together, one will have to be in joystick mode and one can be in console mode. Oh, okay, so this is a mode switch. So you've got a Neo Geo console mode, you've got a computer mode 2 and computer mode 3. So I'm not really sure what the two different computer modes are, but you've got a Neo Geo mode and a PC mode. So it seems that you can use this as a controller for your like Steam games. They don't feel like Sanwa buttons, they're a little softer. They look like the standard size of Sanwa buttons, but they're definitely not Sanwa buttons. Not sure if it's a Sanwa stick, but it feels close enough. No, it feels lighter. It doesn't feel quite as springy. And then on the base of the console, let's just show you what you've got here. This is for removing, I think, or tightening the arcade stick. Yep, if you want to change the ball top, you're going to have to put a screwdriver in there. What could possibly be in here? Oh, this is the cable. Oh, it's to plug it into the Neo Geo console or to plug it into your PC. You've got a USB cable. Nice that they've got cable management built in. Even though it's got a console built in, they made a point of giving you a space to hide your cables, and you know, you could even put your adapters and things. You'd also shove your adapters and stuff in there. Maybe you could even put like a little sandwich. Should we do the banana test? Let's do the banana test. This is actually really important. If you're new to arcade stick reviews, you may not realize this, but whether you can put a banana in your arcade stick is actually probably the most important thing. And, no way, it passed! It passed the test! So with cable and a banana, this thing still closes up. They definitely did this on purpose so that you could carry around a banana, because we all know that SNK King of Fighters fans love bananas. And if you're interested to know, there is a hole here so that if you take the arcade stick cable out, you can still close it and have the cable coming out cleanly like so. So let's plug this into a monitor and test the SNK Arcade Stick Pro. The first thing we need to do is actually plug it in. So first, I'm going to plug the HDMI into this port here, just from the monitor, but this HDMI cable doesn't come in the box. If someone opens this as a Christmas present, and all the shops are closed that day, then if there's no HDMI cable, and you just happen to be at your grandma's house, and she doesn't have any HDMI cables there, then you may not be able to actually play this on the day that you unbox it. And the other thing is that even though the power cable is included in the box with the set, you don't get a power adapter. So you actually have to go and use one of your own iPhone power adapters. Again, most people have these, but if you're buying this for a kid who doesn't own their own smartphone and is unlikely to have their own power brick like this, just make sure you've got one. But apart from the power adapter and the HDMI cable, I believe that's all you're going to need to make this actually get up and running. So I've plugged it in. You can see we've got a couple blue lights. There we go. All right, so interestingly enough, it looks a lot like a Nintendo Switch layout. You have all your games here in a grid. We can go through them in a moment. We've got some settings here, help menu. One last thing that I did add as well is that this stick is slipping around a lot. So I've put a little cloth underneath so it doesn't slide, because if I don't have the cloth, you can see it's very, very slippery. And now that we're all set up, let's go ahead and enjoy some Neo Geo Arcade Stick Pro action. So for $130, we get 20 games plus an arcade stick, which would normally cost maybe $10 per game. That's 20 times 10, that's $200 for the games. An arcade stick of this quality would cost you maybe $100 to $150 on its own. Now in terms of the games that are available, we've got the King of Fighters 95, 97, 98, King of Fighters 99, 2000, 2002, we got Fatal Fury Special, Fatal Fury 3, Garo, Mark of the Wolves, Samurai Showdown 2, Samurai Showdown 3, Samurai Showdown 4, Samurai Showdown 5 Special, Art of Fighting, World Heroes 2, World Heroes 2 Jet. I don't remember anything about World Heroes, I think I've played it once in my life. World Heroes Perfect, Ninja Masters, The Last Blade 2, and Kizuna Encounter. So I think let's start with KOF 95. Yo! Ew, it is really smooth. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Options, all right, hang on a second. Screen quality. Pixel scaling. Okay, that's much nicer. Okay. Alright, how do I press start? So, you've actually got to press the start button on the side here. So I can change to the standard MVS difficulty, or I can have normal difficulty. Pad set, light punch, light kick, strong punch. What? Why doesn't this button do anything? Well, I'll just go to the options and change my controller setting. Press the button for A. Oh, okay, that's interesting. So you can actually have your own custom setup so that the game knows what your A, B, C, D settings are, because as you can see, by standard, it's got A, B, C, D. All right, my buttons are set. Let's go to game start. Well, I've got to actually choose a team. Okay, that's right. So KOF95, you actually can't choose characters separately, huh? Okay, fine. Seems responsive enough. All right, let's go. Woohoo! This is awful. I never play with Benimaru or Daimon. I have no idea how to use them. Oops. So how do I go back to the home menu? Do I press options? I press options, exit. Okay, so options, exit. Okay, now we can change to another game. So let's try King of Fighters 97. All right, let's just go to the options, make sure that my buttons are set. Oh, you gotta change it every single time. So in every game, that's a bit annoying. So in every game, you've got to do the controller setting. Or maybe that's a good thing, so you can have a custom setting for each one. But yeah, let's go in here and let's custom set 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's use Terry, since we've been seeing Terry in Super Smash Bros. Let's see if I can remember any moves with Terry. Burn Knuckle! Wait, my button's not doing anything. I suppose this would have been more exciting about 5 years ago, but what's strange about this right now is that we've already had these games on the Switch. So if you're trying to figure out whether you should buy a toy like this, you have to decide, like, do you already own these games on the Switch? If you do, then it's like, why are you buying this one? Gazer! Oh, you don't even get to see the rest of the Super. But value for money, you get 20 games for $130. That's pretty good, actually. Let's just skip over to KOF99, shall we? Oh man! It looks exactly as it should. Well, it's just running the ROM, I suppose. Oh, nice! Unlike the arcade ROM, you don't have to unlock these characters secretly. Oh. Wait, I don't know if you just noticed this, but you can actually click the stick and it doesn't register sometimes. Let's just do it from the top here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, it didn't register. 4, 5, 6, 17, 18, 19. Okay. So out of 20, 2 didn't work. So that's a 10% ratio so far. Well, this is not looking good for the base hardware, but out of 30 presses to the right, 5 of them were missed out. That's not looking good for the base arcade stick. Kyo. Uh-oh, and sometimes the buttons don't register either, you just saw that. Okay, I'm a little bit concerned now. I thought it was a bit strange. I thought some of these moves weren't coming out. Seem to be okay now. Maybe they just need breaking in. I'll review it over time. Let's just skip straight to God-O Mark of the Wolves. This is a game that I know quite well. I know what it's supposed to feel like. Oh, you can save. I don't actually... Oh, what is this, like save state? Oh, because so you can save state at any point in the game. That's actually quite a useful feature, but that's also in the emulators on the Nintendo Switch. And interestingly enough, there is a practice mode. So actually, this is one of the nice things compared to a lot of the ROMs that are on the Nintendo Switch version. Often you don't get practice mode because they're original ROMs from the arcade game, but these seem to be ROMs from the Neo Geo Home system. So there's actually practice modes built in, which is nice. Let's see if these buttons feel like how they should. Seem to be okay with pressing left now. In fact, we can actually just try that now. Let's go into the... Let's actually reboot this game. Unfortunately, there's no... That's a kind of frustrating thing. There's no reboot option. So let's just try practice mode. Let's just test these buttons, shall we? Okay, so it's much better right now. Maybe the unresponsiveness of the buttons was just the King of Fighters 99 ROM, but that's really weird. So let's try just pressing jump, shall we? Seems much more responsive in this game. Well, this is reassuring, because if it's working this well in practice mode in one game, then it means it's not a hardware issue. So that's good. Maybe it's just because I haven't played these SNK games for a long time, but I feel like the buttons aren't coming out as fast as I like them to. Let's see if I can at least get a super. Wait, what was my super in this game? Yes! That's all I really wanted to do. I don't really like these sort of soft, cheap plastic buttons. But then that's coming as someone who like buys arcade sticks and makes arcade stick videos. If you've never owned an arcade stick, you would not know the difference between this and a high quality arcade stick. But it does feel, the parts do feel cheap. As an arcade stick person, the parts do feel cheap. If you don't buy a lot of arcade sticks, you would never know the difference. Yes! Jump! I dare you! I double dare you. Alright, that's all for this first video on the SNK Neo Geo Arcade Stick Pro. I would just say that as a product name, I don't think it really deserves the moniker of Pro, just because it doesn't really have pro level components. You wouldn't probably want to use these buttons or this stick when playing in a tournament. But as a consumer product with the name Pro, I think it sounds quite cool. And actually, for value for money, if you can buy this for $130 and it's got 20 fighting games in it, plus they're the fighting games that I quite like, so KOF 99 and Garo Mark of the Wolves, and plenty of others. You got Ninja Masters, World Heroes, Last Blade, Samurai Showdown. There's a ton of stuff to play in here. Plus, they say FTG here, and I don't know any information. I've not heard anything from SNK, but I'm guessing if it says FTG here in the genre, I'm guessing that they're planning on allowing other games to be downloadable. Why put the genre here if they're all going to be FTG? They must be putting this genre here because they're hoping to put other games in there, but it depends on the sales, right? If the sales are very successful, then maybe they'll think about putting new titles on here. And it wouldn't cost them very much, right? Because they're just running ROMs. One thing that I did like is that they're not running the arcade ROMs. So when you buy the Nintendo Switch versions of these games, they give you the arcade ROMs and there's no practice mode, which is quite stressful. For example, I think even maybe KOF 95, let's just double check. So I'm eating my words here. There's no practice mode in KOF 95. For a game like 97? Okay, I'm massively eating my words. So KOF 97 also does not have a practice mode. 98 has to have one. Okay, so King of Fighters 98 does have a practice mode, so I guess it just depends on the games. Certain games, when they came out in 1995, 1997, clearly people didn't really care too much about having a practice mode. 99 has a practice mode, Garo Mark of the Wolves has a practice mode, so it's interesting that these are not the arcade versions of the games, these are the home console versions of the game, which are, as far as I'm aware, identical to the arcade ROM, but they just have some extra features like practice mode and options and the ability to change things like your button configurations and all that. If there's anything I was a little bit concerned about, and I don't think it's anything to really be too concerned at this price point, but I couldn't understand why sometimes when I was pressing up, I wasn't getting up. But as you can see here on the menu, it's actually not having any issue whatsoever. So just there, I pressed right and it didn't work. And I just pressed it again and it didn't work. Let me just try it in another game. If it only happens in 99, then it means it's a ROM issue and it can probably be fixed with software. Okay, it seems that everything is fine in KOF 98. So out of the box, it looks like maybe it needs some firmware updates, but at least the controller does work. The ROMs do work. You just plug it into your TV. You can enjoy 20 fighting games for the grand total of like $130, which I think is a steal. I think that's great. It does feel like a cheap arcade stick though. It doesn't feel like the high quality components that I'd quite like. I think I would definitely swap this out for a Sanwa stick, if that's possible. I actually don't even know how much space is available in here, but I assume that the parts are upgradable. These buttons also not too keen on these buttons, but I have to be 100% honest with you. If I weren't the sort of person who buys arcade sticks and makes YouTube videos about arcade sticks, I would never know. I would never know that these are lower quality components than what's being used in the arcades. And I had plenty of fun testing out these games. The only one that was a bit weird was KOF 99, which is a shame because that's the game I want to play the most, but it does seem to be upgradable in the menu system, so there is hope yet. So SNK, if you're listening, you might want to fix that and let people know. Okay, I'm running out of time, so I can't test it right now, but I'd like to try using a non-Neo arcade stick in here. There are adapters as well, so even if it doesn't work off the bat, there should be a way to make it work with an adapter. But even if not, you could just buy 2 of these, and again, they're $130 each, so they're super cheap. Usually, for $130, you would get a medium level arcade stick that doesn't have a console built in, but this one has a console built in, and you can put a banana in here and it fits. So as far as I'm concerned, that is a win all around. So definitely stay tuned for future videos. I'll be modding the arcade stick, I'll be modding the arcade buttons, and I'll also be checking whether KOF 99 can be fixed, whether it's through the internet or through some sort of USB firmware upgrade, I'm not sure. And also I'd quite like to test how fast the buttons and responsiveness is, because I'm not 100%, it felt a little bit laggy while I was playing, but then again, I haven't played for a while, so maybe I just haven't played for a while, I'm not familiar. But yeah, I've got the Switch version or the PS4 version or whatever, and I'm just gonna test with a standard arcade stick and the ROM and see if it's any faster than this. Still can't believe it's $130. I really kind of wish that they'd just charge a bit more and put nicer components in here, but hey, we've got what we've got. That's all for now. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, share the links, and all that great stuff, and I'll see you in the next NihongoGamer video.